What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, Face Off Sports Network. I'm your host, Anthony Servino. Follow me on X at The Real NFL Guru. Follow the show at the FF Face Off and at fffaceoff.com. We can be found at all the top social media and podcast platforms. Back with me, Football Friday, Steve D'Angelo at Fantasy Savvy. Steve, what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on, Anthony? Just you and I today. We're ready to get into week 5, more start sits. We'll get to most of your questions. If you guys got any super chats, you want to bump the line a little bit, send those in. But yeah, excited for another week of NFL football. Had a great game last night. Your boy Darnell Mooney went off. Your boy Kirk Cousins went off. 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. Unbelievable. I think the 15th highest total in NFL history as far as passing yards. So, that might be a sign of things to come this week. We got a lot of great matchups. We got a lot of high totals. So it could be a good fantasy week across the board.
We were waiting for a week like this, and again, week 5, a month goes by, and it goes like I keep saying this every year. I think it's taking teams longer and longer to gel, and there's not enough preseason practice, preseason games. And maybe it's just this is what we need to expect. There's going to be slow starting teams. Some teams are going to look better than others. But if we see an influx of production this week across the NFL because points have been down, if that increases, then maybe there is something to, it's taking teams a month to get acclimated with the new season.
Yeah, and then you got new coordinators, new coaches, quarterbacks moving around a little bit. New quarterback. So, yeah, it's to be expected. We kind of always panic the first couple of we kind of react week by week by week. We got to just be a little bit patient sometimes and let things develop. And that was certainly a great game to watch. And again, some high totals this week. I'm expecting some nice fantasy performances.
Yeah, if you bought into the Falcons, I know a few. I think you did. I know I did all off season long. What we saw last night, that's what we bought into. Like, this looked like an elite offense. Drake London and Darnell Mooney both look like superstars. Pitts looked great. Cousins look great. The offense. What's going on with Bijan Robinson? I know. Let's open the show while we wait for some questions. What is going on with Bijan Robinson?
I've been talking about it, and even when I went back and when he was a rookie and I watched all his carries at Texas, you know how people get about these prospects, they go totally, absolutely nuts about these players and they kind of overhype them. And many, very, very few players live up to the hype. Now, I think Bijan Robinson is still a very good player, but I think our expectations maybe were just a little too high, and we expected him, to get 1 million carries and score 1 million touchdowns. And I think that was just a fantasy, basically. Algiers is still a good player. You bring in Kirk Cousins, who can throw the football. They got Drake London, Darnell Mooney, 1,000 yards with the Bears. People forgot about that. Kyle Pitts, he also had 1,000 yards, as much as he's been frustrating. So, yeah, they don't, in games like this, they don't really need to utilize him as much. You saw the big plays these receivers were making. So it will get better for Bijan, but he's killing you. Last year, you took him in the first round, didn't really pay dividends. This year, he was a top 5 pick, sometimes number 1 pick, top 3 pick. So we're not getting the return on investment we expected. So we're all frustrated. He's still a good to very good player, but I don't think he's that elite. I don't think he's like a Saquon. Saquon, I think, was a better prospect when he came out. I don't think he's that talented. He's still very good, but I think we just got to temper our expectations just a little bit. And there's going to be more games like this to come, probably.
My issue is I get what you're saying, that there's rookie hype. Everybody is a generational player. This isn't just Bijan was a 2nd round pick. Bijan was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. The Falcons believed he was a generational player. So this is one of the situations where I'll forgive the dynasty community and fantasy community for thinking this guy was going to be a superstar. Because when, this is in a league where running backs don't really get valued that high, he goes in the top 10. A couple picks later go Jahmyr Gibbs. I guess my question is, before we get into questions, is Jahmyr Gibbs the best running back from that draft class.
Honestly, I think Gibbs is better in my opinion. But I mean, he is in a better situation, obviously, with that
Is he?
yeah, and the offensive line definitely better there in Detroit, I think overall. But I think Gibbs looks better to me though. I think he just looks better as a runner. He he hits those holes, he breaks tackles more, and I think he's it's close receiving, I guess, but yeah, I kind of like Gibbs a little bit better. But I mean, they did take him top 10, but things change. This is a new coaching staff, new regime here. So, things change. They like Algier a little bit. Again, you got Kirk in there now who could sling the ball around 500 yards passing. So Bijan's going to have his games, but maybe he's not going to catch the 7, 8, 9, 10 balls that we were all expecting every freaking week. And getting 100 yards on the ground or, 150 total yards a week and a touchdown. I think the expectations basically were just too high. And, now maybe back into the first round, second round pick, that's maybe where we should have been taking him based off the current results.
All right, Steve, want to handle the questions?
Yeah, we will get into it. We got Kevin Nail starting off the show. Welcome, Kevin. Bench 2 PPR, Amari Cooper, George Pickens, Brian Robinson, Najee, Brian Thomas Jr. He's got a bench 2. Brian Robinson did return to practice today, I think, in limited fashion. Or they're saying he has a chance to play. It seemed like he might have been out. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen because Eckler's back this week. Jeremy Nichols actually looked pretty damn good. Stole 2 touchdowns from Brian Robinson. So I could still see them sitting him out this week. Pickens against the Cowboys. I like that a lot. Diggs is also questionable to play now. So you have no Lawrence. You got no Parsons. Maybe no Diggs. So I don't think I'm benching Pickens. So B-Rob would be one bench. Brian Thomas Jr. is another one. Najee's got, I'm saying there's another one that I like a lot against the Colts. The Colts have been letting up a ton on the outside. Najee Harris, no Jaylen Warren, no Cordell or Patterson. But, Najee is just kind of underwhelming a little bit. So I think it's going to be the 2 running backs that I'm going to keep on the bench, and I'm going to roll with the 3 receivers. Because I do like Deshaun Watson and the Browns against the Commanders in a high-scoring game.
I might, and I love Brian Robinson and Najee Harris, especially Najee in this matchup with Dallas. I think this is going to be a coming out party for Najee Harris. But this is a situation where you have Brian Thomas Jr., who's a must-start wide receiver, has a terrific matchup. George Pickens, he had over 100 yards last week, one of his best fantasy outings of the year, has not scored a touchdown. Even if Diggs plays, he's an opportunistic cornerback that takes chances. And then you have Amari Cooper against the worst secondary in the NFL. I think I'm going to lean with you and go with these 3 wideouts. These are all outstanding options. In many other cases, like I'm starting Najee Harris, but like look at these wide receivers you have.
Yeah. And the one thing you could say is Najee without Warren and CPAT, maybe he catches 6, 7 balls this week. I mean, that certainly could be in the realm of possibility. So I would say maybe, Najee or Cooper, but I got to get Pickens in, Brian Thomas Jr. in there. Zach Linton says, yo, what's up, Zach? Veteran of the show. Our boy Al also says, hello, everyone. And he's got a question. Shaheed or Josh Downs, full PPR. Shaheed gets the Jags, 45.5 total. I kind of like that game to go over. Now, Anthony Richardson, limited. He was seen at practice today, but I think Flacco got all the first team reps. So it sounds like Joey Flacco. I think Steichen's kind of excited about what Flacco showed. And, honestly, Steichen might kind of be like, oh, maybe Flacco is our best option here to win games right now. Let's see what he can do. And, maybe this is his avenue to get it done. Now, actually, the Jaguars are 0-4. Are they going to lose another freaking game here? I picked them to win this game. But if they don't win this game, Doug Peterson's probably gone. They have to win this game. This is an absolute must win. And then the other option is Shaheed against the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, 43.5 total. Shaheed was used in a variety of ways last week. He was pretty much went toe for toe with Olave. He's had one bad week, basically, where he gave you that donut. But 3 out of the 4 weeks, he's been very solid. He's got 2 touchdowns on the year. So I think I got to go with Rashid Shaheed, even though Flacco will definitely improve Josh Downs.
Yeah, I like Downs a lot. And Pittman, for what it's worth, if Joe Flacco plays, the matchup is there. But like, Shaheed last week, I was telling people to sit him. I forgot who the other option was because I was worried about this guy doesn't get more than 4 targets, 5 targets. And if he's not popping for a touchdown, he's a boomer bust player. He's your prototypical best ball player. That's all we've ever seen from Shaheed. And Steve, you said it. He had volume last week and he returned immense fantasy production on that value. I think he's emerged into a realistic week in and week out starting fantasy asset, and I think he's the way to go here.
Yeah, I agree. 3P1 C fail. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. 3P1 C fail says PPR Freiermuth or Kraft also rest of the season as well. Interesting question there. Thank you for that. 3P1. So Freiermuth or Kraft for this week, and then also rest of the season.
Whew.
Freiermuth, obviously, Cowboys Sunday night. Got into the mix last week. Fields was hitting him, scored a touchdown. I mean, again, there's nobody besides him and Pickens, really. Van Jefferson stinks. Calvin Austin's like, a couple shots here or there. A lot of Najee, yes, in this game. But Freiermuth's their best second option. Roman Wilson hasn't seen the field all year yet. They keep, keeping him inactive, even though he's healthy. And then Tucker Kraft, no Romeo Doubs. He's out. He's got personal reasons. No Christian Watson either.
Wow.
48.5 total. We just saw Jordan Love throw for 4 touchdowns against the freaking Vikings. 3 picks too. So he's got to clean that up for sure. But great matchup against the Rams. I think I got to go with Tucker Kraft in this matchup with Dobbs and Watson out. Rest of the year, I'm going to say Freiermuth.
Wow. I think I like Freiermuth, but I'm going to lean the Kraft end both ways. I like the matchup this week, obviously, for Tucker Kraft. He's going to have the opportunity. Last week, 9 targets a season, probably a career high. Dominating the snaps over Musgrave. Matchup against the Rams. And in 2 games with Jordan Love, Kraft has had 2 red zone targets in each game. So he has 4 red zone targets in the year. 2 in week 1, 2 last week. So they are looking. Jordan Love is looking for him in a red zone. I think that extends his value a little bit. Where Freiermuth through 4 games only has 2 red zone targets total. So I'm going to kind of lean into that a little bit and believe that Tucker Kraft might emerge into a nice red zone weapon for Jordan Love and the Packers.
Yeah, the only reason I say Freiermuth because like when Watson comes back, Dobbs comes back, it's still going to be very crowded there. He's way ahead of Musgrave, and you remember I did say I liked Kraft over Musgrave coming into the year, but I think Freiermuth there's not a lot of competition there, and he's a good option, man. He's always been a good tight end, and we saw what Fields did with Kmet, the past couple of years. So I think he's got something there with Freiermuth. We're gonna go, questions in order. If you guys want to send in a super chat, you skip the line. We do get one from our boy, host of the show, veteran of the show, founder of the show with Anthony, Michael Hoff. Burgers at friend of the show, Eric in the shower will be done in 5 minutes. And Anthony, how amazing is Brock Purdy? Hashtag let's go Mets. Huge win for the Mets last night. But anything with that, Ant?
Well, bro, Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. He's not elite. He's not special. And I think that's why he's bringing that up, because some 49ers Stan account said that Brock Purdy was special last week. He's not special.
Yeah. Well, Hoff doesn't think anybody's elite except for Mahomes. So
I think he likes Mahomes very much.
Well, he said he was the only elite quarterback, but I mean, it's understood. He's got his.
I think I said that actually.
He's got 3 championships, so I mean, he's definitely elite for sure. But he doesn't think anybody outside of him is elite, so he can't say Brock Purdy is elite until he gets that Super Bowl, I guess. All right, we got KJ Frederick says, "Let's go." Ralph N says, "Hey guys, should I start Akers, Waddle, Madison, or Rome at the flex this week? PPR Akers is the guy. It looks like Pierce got back limited practice today. Mixon's going to be out. I don't think Pierce is going to play. And the way you beat the Bills is you run the football. So are they going to commit to that with Cam Akers? They still got Dare Ubagun. I can never pronounce
Dare
that.
Ogunbowale.
There you go. Bang it. You bang that one out. And they're basically using him as much as using Akers, even a little bit more sometimes. So I don't know about Akers. It seems great, but he hasn't looked that great. So I don't know. I think the Bills are going to put up points here, even without Shakir. So I think that they're going to have to pass. So I'm not crazy about that. Waddle, with Huntley, we saw what they did last week. How many guys are going to produce with Tyler Huntley? You still got Tyreek Hill in the way. Madison's going to get more carries. Amir White looks like he's out. So everybody's talking about Dylan Lobb this week, but forget about it. It should be the Madison show, but tough matchup against the Broncos. Yeah. We saw what they did to Breece Hall last week. They evaporated him. So I think the one I would go with here is Rome against the Panthers. Even with all those guys, Keenan Allen's back, DJ Moore, I still think I would go with Rome here.
It's between Rome and Akers for me. Buffalo, they're the easiest matchup on paper for opposing running backs, but the context, they got Derrick Henry last week. And I think that really blew open their point per game totals. Connor 17 week 1, Achane 30, ETN 13, and 36 from Henry, and 21 from Justice Hill. Ooh. They
mix in a Ogunbowale, and who's the other back that they have there? They were mixing in. I'm trying to remember it. I think they used a couple of guys.
British Brooks, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe it was just two guys. I thought there was maybe one other guy they were mixing in there.
Akers had 13 for 53 last week. He had touches, no receptions, no targets. I guess I'll go Roma Dunze. Like to me, Akers might just be a touchdown dependent, option right now. Like he might get some volume, but do they trust Cam Akers on the goal line? Because last week he had 3 red zone rushes, nothing inside the 5 or 10. Yeah. So really meaningless red zone carries for Cam Akers. So Madison, I'll go Rome.
I think I like Madison maybe a little bit more because he's going to get more usage. But again, tough matchup. So I think Rome has the most upside there. Will Hayes says, should I drop either Josh Downs, Xavier Legette, or Waddle PPR? I don't think you want to drop Waddle. So that's one I'm not dropping because Tua sounds like he's not retiring, obviously. And it sounds like he'll be back possibly by week 8. So I don't want to drop him. I do like Xavier Legette. It's a tough one between those two. What do you think?
Downs is, we saw what Josh Downs could do last week, and I like Downs coming into the season. But my issue is, what version of Josh Downs are we going to get with Anthony Richardson? Because this is not Joe Flacco's team. We are going to see Anthony Richardson start football games, and I just don't know how much I trust that situation. Legette looks good on that end. How effective is Andy Dalton going to be in the tough matchup? This week gets the Bears.
Yeah,
he might get eaten alive.
Yeah.
Is there a chance Deontay Johnson gets traded? I've heard rumors about that. That's really good for Xavier Legette. Yeah. Legette, not only last week, but also in week 1 with Bryce Young, for what that's worth, had 7 targets. I don't know. I don't know. This is tough. I'm not dropping Waddle.
No, can't drop Waddle. Definitely not.
Let me.
I think I would take a shot on Legette. I think it's maybe not as safe, but I think he has more upside. He's a first-round pick. He's a big receiver, 6'3", 4.4 speed. Dalton's going to wing it around. They're going to be in a lot of high-scoring games, because their defense stinks. Although their secondary may be a little bit better than we expect, but I think I would give Legette by a hair, keep Legette by a hair here.
So the tiebreaker for me, and I'm going to agree with you on Legette. The tiebreaker is fantasy playoff schedule. The Colts, number 1, Downs on a bye week 14. So if you would have to use Josh Downs in week 14, you can't. Week 15, Denver, 3rd toughest matchup for wide receivers. Week 16, Tennessee, number 1 against wide receivers. Then the Giants in week 17. So he's useless for 3 playoff games. And then on Leggett, you get Philly, Dallas, Arizona, Tampa Bay. That is your 4-week playoff schedule from week 14 to 17. So that is my deal breaker. And I think if Thielen comes back, like Leggett can ultimately take this job, take that number 2 target role from Adam Thielen.
Yeah, that's true. That Thielen will be back too, so that does kind of concern me a little bit because he is the veteran. But I mean, it's crowded with the Colts too. You got Pierce, you got Pittman. You know, who's to say they don't use Adonai Mitchell a little bit more at some point?
It's the playoff schedule for me, and really overall, the Panthers looks like when it comes to wide receiver matchups, they have a softer schedule overall.
Yeah. Yeah, and Mingo played a lot too, but Leggett was getting all the targets. Mingo's mostly in the slot. Going down the line here again, guys, if you want to jump the line, just send us a super chat. Otherwise, we're just going to go one by one right down the line and get to as many questions as we possibly can. There it is on the screen. Here we go. KJ Frederick says, better tight end play, full PPR, Juwan Johnson or Noah Gray. Taysom Hill, broken ribs. This guy just can't stay healthy. He's going to be out a couple weeks. But they got Foster Moreau that they mix in. Juwan Johnson, you know, we both like him, Anthony. He hasn't really done much. No. Noah Gray getting some usage now. I mean, now you got Rashee Rice out. You know, he's catching like 4 balls, 40 yards. But not a bad option. I'm going to go with Noah Gray here. More, you know, just the better situation. All those injuries, they got to utilize somebody. I'm going to go Gray on Monday night.
Yeah, Gray is safer. But Kansas City, they are the easiest tight end matchup. That intrigues me. And the reason why, Juwan Johnson, like we know he has these weird games where he goes and he pops for 20 fantasy points. Yeah. This might be one of them.
I'm going
to go Juwan on a gut feeling.
Juwan Johnson. Yeah, I mean, I think Juwan probably has more upside, you know, because Kelsey's in the way and Juwan could, you know, he does have those games where he kind of goes off out of nowhere and he scores like 2 touchdowns. I don't mind it. You know, again, both these guys play Monday night in the same matchup. Anthony said the Chiefs are worse against tight ends statistically. So I don't mind that one. Jared Fortin says, what's going on, guys? Need 2 PPR. 2 guys for PPR. Wicks, Achane, Garrett Wilson, Wandell, and Alexander Madison. All very good options there. Wicks looks very, very solid now with Dobbs out. I think that's got to be one. And the other one, I think I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson. Mostert's coming back, so I don't know how that's going to affect Achane. They're not really blocking anyway. The Patriots defense is kind of tough. They're not, you know, Achane's hasn't done much. So is he going to do a lot now with Mostert back? You know, maybe Mostert gets 4 or 5 carries. They bring in Achane. The defense is a little bit tired, and he can blow one up. That's kind of what he did last year. Wandale without Neighbors sounds great. Madison's going to get all the carries. You got all good matchups here. I think I'm going to stick with Garrett Wilson, though. I think that they're going to be able to pass a little bit against this Vikings team in London, the 9:30 game. And then I'm going to go with Wicks with Dobbs and Watson out.
Yeah, Wicks is a slam dunk for me. Wan'Dale Robinson's intriguing because even with Neighbors, he's actually been a highly productive fantasy player, getting a lot of targets, getting volume. But Garrett Wilson, he's my guy. This matchup against Minnesota, like on paper, like the Vikings defense has played well, but you can throw on them. We saw that last week with Jordan Love. In fact, like if you go throughout the season, you know, week 1, Neighbors and Robinson both had 11 PPR points. Debo had 18. Then Houston, they had 3 receivers. Their top 3, 19, 12, and 11. Last week, 27 and 24 to Reed and Wicks. Production can be had on this secondary. Remember, Minnesota's defense is a work in progress. What makes them good is Brian Flores. They don't have a lot of great personnel yet. So I think this might be the game for Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
I'm going with Garrett. Well. I think I'll make a bold prediction. I will also bet this because I bet a lot of things I say. I would take Garrett. I would ladder his yards to over 100 yards and take him to score. In fact, one, two, three, four different receivers have gone for at least 86 yards, two of which over 110. So they were giving up big chunks to these wide receivers this year.
Yeah, we just saw, it was Jordan Love, but Aaron Rodgers could do, what Jordan Love does. And the Vikings do like the blitz a lot, and Rodgers historically has been very good against the blitz. So we'll see if they change things up. Probably not. Flores is an animal when it comes to blitzing. We got a super chat, man. I think our biggest one of the year. Thanks to Luis Saldana, $50, man. That is awesome. With the news of Neighbors and Singletary, for flex PPR, Wan'Dale Robinson or Xavier Worthy, I'm undecided. Thanks. Greetings from Mexico, man. Thank you, Luis. Appreciate that, man. Enjoy Mexico. Hopefully you guys get through the rest of this hurricane season unscathed. Thanks for the question, man. Appreciate it. What do you think here, Ant? No Neighbors. Singletary looks like he's out. Flex half PPR. Wan'Dale Robinson without the Neighbors or Xavier Worthy now Monday night with no Rashee Rice. No Isaiah Pacheco. So what do you think here? Worthy, I think, more upside. Wan'Dale safer. Who would you go with?
So number one, thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate it. So the news of Neighbors and Singletary. Wan'Dale or Worthy, I'm undecided. See, Worthy is, he looks tempting, right? Because all of the injuries in Kansas City. But what I do want to pull up, I want to pull up Xavier Worthy. Let's see what his volume looked like last week. It didn't really change. And this is a game last week where Rice only played 4 offensive snaps. So even with Rice only playing 4 offensive snaps, Worthy only had 4 targets. And this was a close game, and I believe they were even trailing a little bit. That's really concerning. The fact that there is not more volume in crucial situations going to that rookie. On the other side, now, of course, Wan'Dale Robinson or Xavier Worthy, we know what he can do. He can break the big play open at any time. The issue there, we saw that in week 1, and he did that last week as well. Are we going to get that again? He is extremely volatile, almost like what I say about OG Rashid Shaheed. When he's not getting volume, he's either going to get you 20 or, we see the other 2 games where he's 2 and 3, under 5 PPR points for Worthy. On the other side, Wan'Dale Robinson now steps into the number 1 wide receiver role on the New York Giants. There's no Devin Singletary. I think we could see a monster volume day. Now, Wan'Dale this year already has 2 games with over 12 targets and 3 games with over 8. He's had at least 9.8 PPR points in all 4 games this year, and he's getting better week by week. Since week 1, he had 11, 9.8, 13.1, and last week, a season high 18. I get this isn't a great matchup against Seattle, but I think Wan'Dale is the way I'm going to go here. Like, do we see, outside of Worthy, Steve, going for 2 touchdowns and 125 yards, I think Wan'Dale might have even like a similar ceiling to Xavier Worthy, right? Because Worthy last week, 373 and 1, that's 16 PPR points. Wan'Dale had 18 going for 11 for 71, 11 receptions in PPR. That is gold.
Yeah, let's not forget Wan'Dale Robinson was also a 2nd-round pick. So I know Worthy was a 1st-round pick, but Wan'Dale Robinson's a good player. He tore his ACL a couple years ago. He's fully recovered from that. So he can make plays. Then you got the 2 Seattle corners on the outside, Witherspoon and Trey Woolen. So he's going to play in the middle. He should get away from those guys a little bit. I think he's going to be heavily targeted. The Seahawks are going to put up points. The Giants are going to have to pass a lot. You're going to have Slayton. You'll have Jalen Hyatt on the outside. They'll take some shots to those guys, but they're going to have a lot of Wan'Dale Robinson. And then you got Worthy going against, Alante Taylor's looked really good for the Saints. You got Marshall and Lattimore. This is a big boy defense with a lot of veterans. Tyrann Mathieu, Demario Davis is coming back this week. Cam Jordan. I think the Saints are going to win this game. I think the Chiefs have been skirting by a little bit. So, yeah, I think Worthy is, he's only a rookie. It's his fourth or fifth, it's his fifth game. I think I like Wan'Dale here as the safer option, and I still think he has some upside as well. So, appreciate that question, Luis. That is awesome. Again, guys, you want to skip the line, send in those super chats. We're going to go right back to the top. Keep going down the line here. We got Emily Collier, Akers or Pirine if Hunt doesn't play. Got to go Akers. Hunt's way ahead of Pirine. Pirine's not really doing much. He hasn't showed much. Is CH not playing this week, right? Maybe another couple of weeks, maybe he's out.
I don't think he's activated yet.
Yeah, so I still like Akers here. Again, the Bills, the way you beat them is run the football. The Texans want to run the football. So I think you got to go Akers here over P-Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going to go Akers as well. Like we talked about him before. Didn't get to the end zone, but still had 13 carries. What worries me, he's not getting the passing down work. That's going to Dare Ogunbowale, but the matchup is good. And so like I would certainly like not mess around. Like Pirine scored last week, but he didn't get a lot of reps. He didn't get a lot of touches. Like that was dominated by Kareem Hunt. So we're gonna view Samaje Pirine as probably touchdown dependent, because Kareem Hunt even had more target opportunities than Samaje, and we thought Samaje was going to be the reception guy there. So I'm with you on Akers.
Now Hunt was a little bit banged up, right? I think he's all good to play though. Limited practice again today. So if he is out,
it's a Monday night game.
Yeah. If he's, you got to decide there. So I think you got to go with Akers because you never know what's going to happen with the Chiefs there. All right, PPR league from RL. Drop Justice Hill for Alexander Madison. Yeah, I would do it.
Do you need Alexander Madison though?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a move you have to do. It's kind of like a 50-50 job there. And Madison certainly could be better than Hill, but Hill's like a safe 10 points every week. He's on a much better offense, a much better team with a much better quarterback, much better coaching. Everything's just much better there. Something happens to Henry. I know that Rasheen Ali is working his way back. Keaton Mitchell may show up at some point.
They like Justice Hill too much.
No, he's good. I mean, he's a good player, man. He's real good. So, I mean, it's very close because Madison seems like he's kind of trumping Zamir White now. So, I don't know. I mean, like Anthony said, do you need to do it?
I would rather stick with the guy. Like, this is probably depth, right? If this is depth, then I think I'd rather stick with Justice Hill. Where he's going to give you the value is in PPR, and it's not going to be every week. But like they have a nice run of running back matchups too, like to where if you did need to plug and play Justice Hill, like I think his floor is just as high as Madison, even if Madison's the guy.
Yeah, I agree. Will says Devontae Adams a Raven. I just saw that Devontae Adams posted another Edgar Allan Poe, this time from Buffalo. So I don't know what the hell that means. He's like, all these cryptic messages going on. He's going somewhere. It's going to be Buffalo. Is it going to be the Ravens? Is it going to be the Commanders? We really don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. You have any thoughts there?
Why not the Jets?
The Jets too. My bad. Yeah, the Jets, of course, obviously with Rodgers. That's another big time favorite. So we'll see, man. It's going to be very, very interesting where he ends up. Dylan Matos says PPR. Actually, sorry, we have another super chat. Let's get to that first. Lex Diamonds, $1.99. Appreciate that, man. Pick 3. Marvin Harrison Jr., T. Higgins, Devonta Wicks, and JSN. Pick 3. All good options. I'm going to go with the first 3 there. I'm going to have to sit JSN.
So we got Harrison. You have to put him in there. San Francisco, their secondary has been vulnerable this year. Wicks is a must. It comes down to Higgins or JSN to me. I don't. It's close because Higgins, he hasn't really gotten going yet, right? Like I think he
Six
might
for
have had a,
6 for 60 last week. But yeah,
yeah.
he hasn't gotten in the end zone yet. But this just seems like this is a 49 total.
He gets Baltimore.
This seems like a back and forth, high scoring affair. Burrow's been playing well. It seems like a game Higgins is going to play big. So I kind of like Higgins. He's a little bit more of an alpha than JSN is. So
You think
uh,
so?
yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
I mean, you got DK, you got Lockett, and him are kind of like. I mean, he's getting more targets than Lockett, but Lockett's still getting 60 yards, 70 yards, and it's just
J-
Higgins and Chase really. It's just the two guys instead of the three. And then you
JSN's
got Kenneth,
getting
and you got Kenneth Walker
volume.
too to deal with. So
It's hard to sit. I mean, he had 12 targets last week, JSN, and only 13 PPR points. That was his second game with 12 targets, but he had 12 and 16 back in week 2. The other 2 games under 3 targets. What version of JSN or really the Seattle passing attack are we going to get against the Giants? This might be a game where it's Walker and Charbonnet, and they're on cruise control. In theory, like Seattle should punch the Giants in the mouth and run away with this game, especially with no Wandale. So I guess Higgins against what looks like on paper a soft Ravens secondary.
yeah, the only thing I could say is if you wanted to swap in JSN for Wicks, I don't hate it. But
What?
I'm just
We
saying.
I thought we love Wicks this week.
No, I do.
I
But
do.
the one thing I'll say is like, JSN could certainly smash here against the Giants. He could go off. And then you got, no Dobbs, no Watson. You still got Jaden Reed. They may have a lead in this game. So it could be a lot of Josh Jacobs too. That is that is a possibility. Also, Love, remember, he threw 3 picks last week. Maybe LaFleur's like, let's just kind of play it a little bit safer. Let's run the football, get Love a little bit more custom. I'm just saying, if that's the one guy I would maybe think about replacing, but I got to go with Harrison.
See, I would do the opposite. I feel like the one I would replace is Higgins.
Yeah, I feel like it's I feel like it's a Higgins game this week. The 49 total. I just feel like it's going to be a fireworks in that game. So I don't want to move away from that game. But thanks, Lex. Go Yankees, baby. He's got the Yankee logo in there. Back to the questions.
No, we got another
super chat. Usual Tyler. Thanks, man. Welcome back. Drop Ford, Trey Sermon, Tank Dell, who is back this week, or Hunt, or Wicks. I drop Trey Sermon because it's probably going to be a 1-week thing. So if your running backs are deep, you got a decent running back room, that's the guy you got to drop.
You're saying Sermon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Right?
Yeah, Taylor should be back in a week or 2. So,
but when do you have to drop him? Like, don't drop him now. Drop him on game day. You don't want somebody like I don't know how waivers clears in your league.
But he's got to get Wicks now. I mean, he's sitting out there.
Oh, for Wicks.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't see that. Yeah. I thought he meant like somebody was on IR and drop somebody. No. All right, no, then you absolutely make that move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, back to the top here. Back to RL. We didn't get to his question. Oh no, we did get to that question. Sorry. Did we get to Dylan Matos's question? No. Okay. PPR, one running back, ETN, Harris, then one flex between Amari, Pickens, Higgins, Worthy, and whoever isn't RB. Okay, so that makes sense. So PPR, you got to pick one running back here, ETN or Harris. I'm going to go with Harris. Getting all the work this week. I expect him to catch, maybe 6-7 balls. Tank Bigsby is going to play this week. Then he gets one flex here. It's not going to be ETN. I think I'm going to go with George Pickens here against the Cowboys on Sunday night.
I'm with you on Najee. I actually have ETN and Najee as starts this week in my start sit content, but I trust Najee a little bit more, and a lot of it has to do with the matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. The 3 teams like, Kamara, Derrick Henry, and even Ford. What those 3 teams had superior run blocking offensive lines, and even Ford, excellent running back. And we know what Kamara and Henry are. Dallas shut down Devin Singletary last week. Singletary is not in the same stratosphere. I wouldn't even put him in the same league as Jerome Ford. And obviously the Giants' run blocking offensive line is a significant downgrade from those other teams. So I think, we know what Najee, he's a very good running back. It's now official that I just saw it come up. Jaylen Warren is officially out this week. Is Patterson out?
He's out too. He's out too. Yeah, that's
so
why I said
this
it's going to be the
be
Najee show.
The Najee show, and it makes me happy, even though it's against my Cowboys. And then the other one, I'm going to go. I'm going to go Amari Cooper. I have to
over
go
Pickens.
Cooper.
Is this the Cowboys' little bit of?
No, it's the Washington secondary.
Okay, but they did play. They are playing a little bit better here of late. Just watching the defense.
I like both. They're like neck and neck in my rankings. I'm telling everybody, Najee's going to run down Dallas's throat. You really think I'm not going to?
Yeah, I don't mind Cooper over here.
I have so much Pickens myself. I want him to crush Dallas.
I know. I don't mind Cooper, man. Cooper is still the better receiver. I mean, he's, I told Pickens. I mean, I think Pickens can be better, but Mari's still that savvy veteran, and he should have had an 80-yard touchdown last week, called back by a bullshit penalty. Yeah, even though he was wide open.
Like the way my brain works, for context, like I know some people
I know I'm just messing with you a little bit.
Or if these players are going to go off, they're going to go off anyway.
Yeah.
Who if you want to win at fantasy, you sometimes got to eat shit and start guys against your own team.
Yeah, it's like the Bronx Tale scene where he says, Mickey Mantle got you down. See if you need to pay the bills. See if Mickey Mantle's going to pay your bills.
Like, if you think I'm not going to bet Najee to score twice, you better damn right I'm hammering that.
Yeah. Kevin Nail is up, bench 2. Did we get to this one already? We saw that one. My bad. Michael Lopez. Yes, sir. I got London and Pitts. Now Pitts making me look like a genius. KJ Frederick says, full PPR flex start, Garrett Wilson, Jawan Jennings, Zach Moss, or Javonte Williams. Pick one. Going with Garrett.
I agree. I don't know if and I like Zach Moss. I don't like Javonte. I don't understand why people are still on Juwan if the rest of those guys are healthy. And now Pearsall, I think he's been activated. At least to practice. But I'm with Garrett. We have a super chat, and I do want to say our friend Matthew Porta is looking for some Facebook love. So we're going to do the super chat, Matthew, from Will, and then we will get to your question.
Okay. Will Everett says $2. Thank you for Will. Thanks for Will for the $2. Full PPR, running back Gibson, Madison, Hill, flex Jacoby Myers, or one of the running backs. I'm going to go with Justice Hill in a shootout with the Bengals. I think he's going to get a lot of work, just like he did against the Bills last week. 18 fantasy points. He was great in the receiving game. I expect that to kind of continue a little bit. They're going to pass against the Bengals. Madison's close, but again, tough matchup against the Broncos. And then Jacoby Myers, we're expecting a shadow from Surtain. Now, it is possible. Tucker did also play on the outside a little bit.
Yeah.
I think 80% last week, 20% in the slot. So it is possible that Surtain could kind of match up with both these guys. But regardless, it's a tough matchup. So I think you're going to go with the 2 running backs here, Madison and Hill.
So what's interesting for me, Antonio Gibson, 2 games this year already with over 10 PPR points. 4 games in a row, Ramondre Stevenson has fumbled, and in the past 2 games, he lost his fumbles. There's rumors all over the place that Gibson can start. I don't know if that happens, at least not now. But I do think we see Antonio Gibson see extended snaps and possibly even more targets. This is now back-to-back games for Gibson. With at least 3 or 4 targets. He's running some routes, and it's a great matchup against Miami. I think I'm going to go Gibson for myself. I'm going to go Gibson and Madison here. Madison for the sure fact that I don't love the matchup against Denver, but he's probably going to get volume. And I'll sit Justice Hill and Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I don't mind Gibson. Again, this is pretty good matchup. This should be a closer game with the Dolphins. Dolphins are all banged up on defense, and Ramondre has fumbled, so you probably will get a little bit more Gibson this week. So I don't hate that.
I just want to double check something on Miami's run defense. So yeah, okay. Last week, both Tajay Spears and Pollard, they both scored, had solid games. Charbonnet, James Cook, and ETN. Bigsby ran well with ETN in week 1. Yeah, I'm gonna go Gibson. I think this could be one of those games where you'll at least get 10 PPR points as a floor. I can't say you can get that out of Justice Hill. Like Justice Hill can get you like 20, or he can get you 5 because they're just not using him as a receiver out of the backfield.
Yeah. Matthew Parda, can we get some Facebook love? I don't see a question here, but if you got a question, Matthew, throw it down. But we do love our Facebook people. I don't see a question from Matthew. Do you see one here? Didn't he ask one already? Did we got to, or no? Am I missing?
Yeah, no, this one.
Oh, okay.
And he did note that super chat was pesos from Mexico, which is still nice.
Pesos.
That comes out to like $2.50 American.
Converts to dollars here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pesos. Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, still,
We'll still take it.
50 pesos, man. That get me, some serious tacos in the village, and I'll eat them all up. When I was in freaking Tulum, man, I had some of the best tacos I ever had in my entire life. It was like 3 a.m. This guy dropped us off in the middle of nowhere, and those tacos were unbelievable. So we appreciate it.
I remember when I was in Jamaica for the first time, and I was shot. I was fucking lit, and I went to the ATM machine. And it was like, I didn't realize that the currency exchange. So it's like you just took out, like I wanted to get out $100. It's like you just took out $10,000. I almost had a fucking heart attack. I didn't realize that like it was like 100 to 1 exchange to the dollar or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Like I literally thought I'm like, I'm gonna get robbed. And then it shut out my $100 and I was happy. But like, I don't realize like the currency exchange in other countries is like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when you used to back in the day, you used to get it all at the airport, and probably wasn't the best way to do it. But all right, start 2 from Matthew, JSN, Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk. Also, would you start Chase Brown or stream Tyrone Tracy if Singletary sits? I would start Chase Brown over Tracy. Chase Brown's been coming on again, high scoring game. We've seen what Chase Brown could do. We don't really know what Tyrone Tracy could do in a starting role. Not a bad matchup against Seattle, so he certainly could have a good game. Start 2, I'm going to go with Deontay. He's back healthy, returned to practice. And I'm going to go with JSN. If Ingram's out, I might pivot to Kirk, but if Ingram is in, then I'm going to go with JSN and Deontay.
Tracy, they have great, like I have a lot of time on Tracy. I just don't know if I'm comfortable starting him yet until I see him get some run. Chase Brown in the past 2 games, obviously last week he pops, but he's been playing more snaps. This isn't the matchup though. I think I might roll the dice on Tyrone Tracy, Steve. Baltimore number 2 in terms of stuffing, against fantasy running backs. Like they don't give up anything to that position. Where Tyrone Tracy is a converted wide receiver from college, there's no Malik Neighbors. There could be some extended PPR work going in his direction. And Seattle, it's a better matchup. So I think I might go Tyrone Tracy if Singletary sits. And then wide receiver wise, you need 2. I might go JSN and Kirk and sit Deontay against the Bears.
Yeah, that's not bad either. The Bears, that's I don't mind that. That's gonna be a tough matchup, and they got a lot to prove here, Deontay and Dalton. But he's still gonna get a ton of targets, being the number 1 guy there. So it's tough to sit Deontay based off what he's done, and the Bears corners are legit. So they could erase him.
Chicago erased everybody not named Nico Collins. So if you take away Nico Collins' 27.5 PPR points, every other wide receiver they faced up until last week had under 8, and then Tutu Atwell and Whittington had 12.2 each. So they've literally been shut down cornerbacks to everybody they played outside of Nico Collins.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. The matchup sucks, but he's going to get all the targets. And I understand what you're saying about Tracy. Definitely should get a lot of looks, so I don't mind that either. And Brown, tougher matchup, but I got to go with the guy I've seen before there. Lupe Gonzalez says, "Glad to be back on your show. Welcome back, man. Appreciate you coming back. Need full help. Need help. Full PPR. Start one. Jackson, one quarterback. Jackson or Love or Dalton. But to be honest, I'm leaning towards Love." So Lamar against the Bengals or Jordan Love against the Rams. I kind of agree, man. I think Love is kind of set to smash here, but Jackson should have a very nice game against this Bengals defense. But maybe Lou Anarumo's got something here. I do think the Bengals are going to win this game. I think the Bengals have to win this game. The Ravens also kind of need to win this game, though, too. They're 2-2. They moved to 2-3 with a loss. But I guess I favor Love a little bit more against the Rams. I just think he could throw, even with those two guys out, Dobbs and Watson, he could still throw 3-4 touchdowns in this one.
Lamar's is playing really good football right now. I want to see what he does historically against Cincinnati in Cincinnati. I think that's going to be, because you're right. Like Jordan Love is, I think he's going to put this team on his back, and they're still, even down Watson and Dobbs, like the more productive receivers is Wicks and Reed. They're still there. And the matchup obviously against the Rams is terrific. I want to pull up Lamar. 22.9 quarterback fantasy points a game in his career against Cincy, and then games play. And this one's in Cincy.
Those have been high score. The last two games, it's in Cincy. The last two games, the Ravens have won. They've both been high scoring games. So we should get another one here. I don't mind. I mean,
I'm going Lamar.
Either way, man.
Lamar and Cincy plays outstanding. Like fantasy wise,
yeah, he kind of
over 25 points a game.
Yeah, from what I remember, he kind of owns Cincy. The one thing you could say about Love is maybe second half they got a nice little lead. It's a lot of Jacobs, like I said. So whereas the Ravens, I mean, are they going to go away from Derrick Henry? He's been so freaking good. So it could be the Derrick Henry show a little bit. Both great options, man. You're probably coming out on top either way with both those guys. So it's kind of go with your gut there. Anthony likes Lamar. I like Love a little bit more. Will Everett in a tough spot.
A little bit of news. If the Jets would have to trade potentially Mike Williams to get Devontae, that just came through the feed. Where's
the freaking current affair drop?
You really want? Oh, let me find it. We have it somewhere.
I fucking love that drop, man.
Me too. We're old.
There we go.
Sense why, Lazard's his boy. He's not going nowhere.
Yeah. Mike Williams could get shipped off there. That could definitely make sense. And the Raiders get a decent weapon back. We'll see what happens. That's going to be very, very interesting. Will Everett says, in a tough spot this week, full PPR for running backs, Cam Akers, Antonio Gibson, Alexander Madison, Justice Hill. For flex, Jacoby Myers, or any of those running backs. Thanks for the question, guys. You guys are all putting these questions nice and neat. We appreciate it. Who did we say? I mean, we've talked about Akers, Gibson, and Madison and Hill a lot today.
I would go in Akers and Madison here
as the two. Yeah, we're sitting Myers with that Surtain Denver matchup. I like Akers and Hill. Anthony likes. So you're sitting Gibson here. And you're going with Madison?
Yeah, because the other question where I started Gibson and Madison didn't have Akers.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of like Hill, man. I think
it was Chase Brown or something.
Hill's like giving you 10 points every single week.
Yeah.
So, and in a shootout, I kind of like it. Kevin Nail is saying I should add I had London go off and Bucks kicker, so I'm up solid points. But I think we still stick with the original question, man. I think the answers we gave before were fine. This week, Sam Darnold or Anthony Richardson. We don't know if Richardson's going to play yet. Sounds like Flacco got all the reps in practice today with the one. So it sounds like it's going to be Flacco. And so you're going to have to go with Sam Darnold in London against the revenge game against the Jets. Dom17 says start 2. Cam Akers, Trey Sermon, or Jawan Jennings. Who do you like there?
I'm sitting Jennings. I mean, these two are at least in line to get volume. Akers has a matchup. Sermon, we think he's going to get volume. Maybe he concedes to Goodson a little bit, but he should be the guy. Like Jennings, we're competing with Debo. If Kittle plays, like there's just a lot of guys.
Kittle sounds like he might be out again. I think he was limited in practice today.
Because about Debo and Ayuk, like they paid Ayuk, they got to get him going.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there is a chance that Jennings has kind of earned a little bit of a role here, and kind of demanding targets. But I don't mind going with the two backs with the amount of work they're going to get. It is a little bit safer. 49 total in that Arizona San Francisco game, but maybe it's a little bit more low scoring, and we see a lot of Jordan Mason in the second half. Jared says, our boy Jared says, can't believe I'm asking this. Mahomes or Geno? We're going with Geno, right?
Mahomes against the Saints.
43 total. Giants, Seahawks, 42 total. I got to go with Geno. Those three receivers, man. It's just Metcalf's been great. You got JSN, you got Lockett, Kenny Walker. So, yeah, I think, and the Saints defense is tough. Again, I expect the Saints to cover this game and possibly win outright.
Where is it being played? In New Orleans?
No, Kansas City Monday night. Tough spot. Arrowhead on Monday night is going to be lit, but I can't believe I'm saying Dennis Allen over Andy Reid, but it is what it is, man.
I'll go Geno.
Yeah.
The last time Juju Smith-Schuster had a featured role on this team, Mahomes passed for 5,300 yards. Maybe Juju's the solution.
Was that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? But Juju, 900 yards that year?
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
He was their leading receiver. Yeah. Not named Kelsey.
Yeah, but he still was kind of like, it was every week was like 10 points, 8 points. I remember I had him. I was excited, man. I called my daughter Juju, Juliana, I call her Juju. So that's kind of what I went with. But I got to move off the Juju, man. I know you love him. He might not be terrible, though.
I don't love him. There's just nobody else.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. Justin Watson, Sky Moore, possibly. Noah Gray. We'll see how they mix it all in there. Mike Baker says Tyrone Tracy or Javonte full point PPR.
Oof.
Javonte got it going a little bit last week, 77 yards. Finally looking, his best game of the year against the Raiders. Supposedly Alec Pierce. I mean, he's losing the team. I don't know. Who the hell knows? They're still winning games. They won last week. They beat Baltimore in Baltimore. I know Devontae Adams is kind of a mess, but I think I still go with Javonte here. But I like Tracy's upside in PPR getting all the looks. What do you think?
Raiders a soft matchup. I'm gonna lean Javonte reluctantly. This would be a brutally low scoring game. That's just Madison and Javonte getting a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like, there's like a prop bet, no touchdown scored. I might run it for this game.
Wait, so Matthew Parda says, dude thought it was pesos. Was it pesos or was it not pesos? We don't freaking know. I mean, I don't know.
It was pesos, I think.
Oh, okay, it was pesos. Okay, all right. I thought this guy was maybe like making bank in Mexico, like a real estate mogul, sending us $50, for the question there. Jumping the line. Justin Credible says, guess who's back? He was on the show last night with the NFL picks. Go check that out, by the way. Guess who's back again, just in time. It's just incredible. So he said he subscribed like a couple weeks ago. So
good.
Thanks for that. Colby, trade Diggs for Kelsey.
I wonder if he's a wrestling fan because Justin Credible is a wrestler.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I'm sure he is. Other wide receivers, and you're going to love this show then because Mike and Anthony absolutely love wrestling. Other wide receivers are Garrett Wilson, Devonta Smith, Deontay, and Godwin. Trade Diggs for Kelsey. Who's your other tight end? Who's your tight end now? Is what I'm saying.
He could afford to move off Diggs when you have Godwin, Deontay. You know what? I almost rather trade Deontay over Diggs.
Devonta, you mean?
No, Deontay Johnson.
Oh, Deontay Johnson. I don't know about that.
I mean, Diggs looks like he's supplanted himself as a number two. He has a better offense, the better quarterback, the better coordinator. Like Deontay exploited the bad matchups. Like, is he going to exploit the good matchups? How, is Dalton going to stay upright all year? I don't know.
Yeah, but we did. I mean, I know Bryce Young is a shit show, but we did see him kind of make Adam Thielen go off a little bit last year. So if they have to resort to that, it's not the most terrible thing in the world, although it could be.
It was the first 3 games of the year.
Supposedly, Tyrese Maxey stole his girlfriend, and that's why he's all depressed. Did you see that?
So whose girlfriend?
Bryce Young's.
Get over it.
Bryce Young's girlfriend was stolen by Tyrese Maxey.
If he doesn't have the psyche to deal with that, he doesn't have the psyche to play quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. Something, maybe it was his first heartbreak of his life. That's always tough.
Like, wasn't Tom Brady's wife dating the personal trainer and he went and won the fucking Super Bowl? He don't give a shit.
That is true. Tom don't give a shit. Tom probably didn't give a shit anyway. He's so fucking into football. He eats, sleeps, and shit football.
All right, honey, send me a video. I got to go play.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, if Trey Kelsey, like Anthony said, you're stacked at receiver. So, and Kelsey's going to be the guy. Had a nice game last week. Maybe he cuts that hair, but I agree. Colby says, oh, we already answered that. Just incredible. I just traded J.K. Dobbins and Michael Pittman for Kenneth Walker. What do y'all think?
I think you fleeced him.
Yeah, he asked me that last night. And I told him to make that move, actually.
I love that trade. And, we both love Dobbins. But Dobbins is, it looks like he's matchup dependent right now. And Pittman, he's quarterback dependent. Where Kenneth Walker, like Charbonnet looks good, but when Kenneth Walker is in that game and he's awesome. Healthy, he looks like a next level running back.
Exactly right. He does. And this was an 8-team league. So I was like, you're probably stacked anyway. So you could afford to do the 2-for-1 here. I love Dobbins. I love Dobbins too, but yeah, you got to get.
I was going to say some perspective here on Kenneth Walker. Week 1, Denver, 10th against running backs, goes for 18.9, 103 yards and a touchdown. Detroit, one of the best run defenses in the league, 80 yards, 12 carries, 3 touchdowns against that defense. Like their front 7 in Detroit, they don't give up a lot. And Kenneth Walker made them look silly last week.
He did, man.
Like he's a fucking really good running back.
Yep.
Using RotoWire metrics, Kenneth Walker's 100th percentile in rushing touchdown percentage. So 12.5% rate. And to explain the definition, it is rushing touchdowns divided by rushing attempts. How often is he scoring when he's running the ball? 12.5% of the time. That is 100th percentile amongst running backs. 37.5% broken tackle rate. 100th percentile amongst running backs. Like he's really good, and he's getting 19 touches per game. So I think that is an amazing trade for you.
Yeah. So the stats and the film both back up Kenny Walker. He's always been a really good back. Injuries have held him back. I think the system held him back. This system right now with Grubb seems like it's getting better and better every week. And he looked absolutely amazing last week. So I like it. Again, 8-team league. Red and Black says, hey, fellas, drop Mooney this week due to a heavy bye week. Ugh, that sucks. Need 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 2, 1 flex at a Garrett Wilson, Deontay at Chicago. Wicks at LA, Stevenson.
Why didn't you just start Mooney? What did you pick up for him? If it was Wicks, okay.
Yeah, he probably picked up Wicks. Yeah. Stevenson versus Miami or 4. So he needs 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 2, and 1 flex out of all those guys below. I'm going to go with the running back. I'm going to go with Stevenson. Or do you like Ford more? And then the receiver, the wide receiver 2, I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson. And then the flex, I'll go with Wicks.
I'm going to go Wilson, Wicks, and who does Cleveland play? We just talked about it earlier. Washington. I'll go Ford.
Yeah. I mean, the Patriots are playing Miami, so
I know.
This should be a spot where Stevenson can get back on track.
Yeah,
here.
I'll flip to Stevenson. We just talked about Gibson earlier and how many multiple running backs thrived against the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. I mean, Ford's not a bad one because Foreman is not playing at all, so he'll catch
I
a bunch
think
of balls.
Rams playing for his job this week.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. He better not fumble, man, or Jared Mayo may pull the hook, like you said. But Ford to me, I mean, Stevens is definitely his better running back. It's just a shame that he keeps freaking fumbling. Luis says, thanks, guys. See you around. Appreciate that, man. Hopefully you guys like, subscribe, and share. Everybody listening tonight, we really appreciate it. FFFaceoff.com, Faceoff Sports Network. And Lex Diamond says 50 pesos is like $3. Hey, we'll take it, man. We're going to buy some tacos, Taco Tuesday next week. Joe Carlton says, only 11 likes. Let's go, people. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Show the love. I appreciate that, Joe. Joe also working with us a little bit this year on the betting end, and he also a high stakes player. So he knows what the hell he's talking about. Squeak 300 on Twitch. Should I start Zay Flowers, even though he got 2 points last week?
What are your other options?
Yeah, what are the other options? But I like Flowers this week in a shootout. This should be a Zay Flowers game here.
Yeah,
against the Bengals. I mean, if it's not Zay Flowers this week, maybe it's Likely and Andrews with a lot of Henry, but Zay Flowers has got to get something done here.
Yeah.
OBJ says Burrow or Fields this week. Fields against the Cowboys Sunday night again, 43 total. And then Bengals Ravens in a 49 total.
I think we had this question yesterday, and I think we all said Fields.
Did I say Fields too? This is a tough one. I really like Burrow this week.
Me
but
too.
I don't mind if you
Fields against Dallas like that. There, Micah Parsons isn't playing. Like this is going to be a bloodbath. I don't think Dallas has a shot,
and maybe no Diggs either.
Yeah.
And that one corner, I don't know. A couple games ago, he missed that tackle against Baltimore against Aguilar. Then he got stiff armed to the ground. I don't know. Their secondary is a little bit rough right now for sure, especially without Diggs. Considering the RB injuries of late, it's okay to laugh. Yes, it is okay to laugh. We got to all laugh more, actually. It's good for the soul. Considering the running back injuries of late, as a Connor owner, should I trade Benson? Is he the clear cuff over DeMarcado? Trade Sutton for Benson. Thoughts on cuffs in general? Good question, man. What do you think here, Anthony?
I'm like historically, I don't believe in cuffs. I believe in cuffing somebody else's cuff. Right? Like if think about all the CMC owners. If they didn't have Mason and you had Mason, you can sell Mason at a premium, or you can buy low on CMC. So I like cuffing other people's running backs. This year, with all of the injuries, I have found myself cuffing more often. Like I have a lot of Achane. I was taking Jalen Wright. I have Kyron. I was taking Blake Corum. So like this is one of those years where I believe in cuffing more than ever. Even I'm cuffing quarterbacks, and we are seeing more and more injuries the past 2 years. And I don't know if that's ever going to, if it's ever going to go the other way again. So yeah, I in this situation, Sutton's really not giving you much. To corner that backfield with how dire the running back position is, I would make that move.
Yeah, depends on what your team is. I like cuffs if the cuff is a nice cuff in a good situation, like Blake Corum. If Kyron, I know everybody forgot about Blake Corum, but if Kyron gets hurt, he's going to move over Ronnie Rivers. I would expect that. Or like a Kendre Miller is another one. Like if you could stash him on your IR, he's returning this week. That's another nice cuff. So it depends on the cuff. I think if Connor did get hurt, I think Benson would get most of the work. He's definitely, they took him in the second round, third round. Yeah. So he would be the guy. He actually showed a little bit last week in garbage time, but I don't mind that. I wouldn't want to trade Sutton for Benson. Depends on your receivers, but it depends on your team. I don't mind it. We do have a super chat from Mr. Rivers, $5. Appreciate that, brother. 2 wide receivers, Jawan Jennings, Wicks, Keenan, Ayuk. 1 running back, Roshan, Braylon, Akers. 1 flex, tight end. 1 flex, tight end. Got Kittle drop Roshan for Komet in case Kittle DNP. Also start Denver D over Seattle. So a lot of questions there, but we'll get to it all. First one, 2 wide receivers, Juwan, Wicks, Keenan, Ayuk. I'm going to go with Wicks and Ayuk.
Same here. Wicks is a must start, and Ayuk, in theory, should like we're waiting for that big game. It could happen this week. Like I don't know. I get Juwan had that one big game. They paid Ayuk. He's playing ahead of Juwan Jennings in terms of snap share. So I'm going to lean on those are the 2 best receivers in the best situations you have in Wicks and Ayuk. You need a running back, a flex.
Yeah,
running back. I'm going Akers.
He needs one running back out of Roshan, Braylon, and Akers.
I'm going Akers here.
Yeah, Braylon against the Vikings. Now he's getting a lot of work. If you wanted to use Braylon over Akers, I don't mind it. Roshan, we saw it was the DeAndre Swift show last week. Roshan was supposed to get all the work. He did score, but yeah, I think you got to go with Akers, especially if Pierce is out. Now, if Pierce plays, then I'd probably go Braylon Allen. But there is a chance Pierce could play, but it doesn't sound like he's going to play.
But he needs a flex too. We can do both.
Yeah. He needs one flex. So I guess I would go Juwan Jennings there, or do you want to go with another running back?
I would go Braylon or the whole key. Like I was down on Keenan Allen coming into this year. I need to see this Bears matchup. And they get
the Panthers.
Yeah.
It could be a Keenan game.
He had 11 targets week 1. Out, 3 targets last week in a great matchup. I don't know.
I might go Keenan here. It's tough to start with Juwan Jennings though, and Caleb just still hasn't done much. He's thrown for like 160 yards. I think that's his, maybe two some, not a bunch of touchdowns. Still kind of getting adapted to the NFL a little bit, even if it's a good matchup.
I'm here, so I'm going to go Wicks, Ayuk, Akers, Keenan Allen. And I think you should drop Roshan for Komet because you need to protect yourself. You need to protect the Kittle investment. And I would do that right away because your opponent might see you have Kittle and might try to cock block you.
Yeah. Komet, probably one of the better tight end options on the board there as well.
And then weight of defense.
Yeah, also start Denver over Seattle. I do like Denver's defense against the Raiders. Yeah, I like Denver this week.
Against Seattle at home.
Against the Giants, but Denver's defense.
No Neighbors, no Singletary.
Yeah, but Denver's defense is probably going to give you more sacks, chances for more interceptions, I think.
But if you watch that Cowboys game, when Neighbors got knocked out, Daniel Jones turned back into the pumpkin. He no longer looked like the Daniel Jones who looked like a good quarterback with Neighbors. Daniel Jones, he kind of collapsed.
Yeah.
And we could see the old Daniel Jones that we love starting fantasy defenses against.
I don't know. This is a good matchup, man. The Denver defense, I mean, they've been freaking good. Really good. 10 points, 6 points, 15 points, 11 points. They played Seattle, Pittsburgh, Tampa. They shut down Baker Mayfield. They shut down Aaron Rodgers. So 15 and 11 back-to-back weeks. I don't mind Seattle. I just think, and if you look at the consensus rankings right now, Denver's number 1, Seattle's number 2. So really 2 really good options there.
What has Seattle been doing? In terms of, I'm trying to look.
Last couple of weeks, 9, 6, 13, 9 against Denver, 6 against New England, not great. 13 against Miami, but that was freaking what? Skyler Thompson, and just 1 against Detroit. They let up a shitload of points.
I mean, Detroit's an elite offense.
But
that was Denver. I guess Denver, but Seattle's intriguing because of the injuries to Malik and Singletary, and how Daniel Jones he just regressed without that elite receiver.
Yeah. By the way, with the peso stuff, man, it just makes me want. I got to get the Three Amigos drops in there. 50,000 pesos to go to Sam Tapoco, and with the infamous El Guapo. I mean, we got to get that fucking in there somewhere. All right, back to the questions. Here, where are we here?
Yeah, we'll do a couple more minutes, then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, if you guys, we'll hang around. You guys want to keep sending super chats, we'll bump those. But yeah, we'll hang around. We'll get to as many as we can. Just trying to get down to the top here. All right, here. Taylor out. Who to start? Right from Raider 77. Sermon, Shaheed, Jacoby, Dell, Tracy Jr. also on waivers. Should I drop Charbs for Tracy? I think you're a Taylor owner, so you probably want to go with Sermon here, but you got good options with Shaheed and Dell as well. I don't know. What do you think? I'd probably want to
I'm
just
not dropping Charbonnet because Walker does miss time, and we've seen both these running backs play well together in week one.
And we know Charbonnet is produced in the NFL. We still, again, we like Trace a little bit, but we still got to see it.
I would just go Shaheed or Sermon.
I think Sermon, this way you got the cuff for Taylor, in the future, and you can use them, continue to use them. Even if Taylor's out next week, you got him.
Yeah, but he doesn't need to drop short. He has them on where he has these guys rostered. The only one he doesn't have rostered.
No, I'm just saying who to start. I'm saying Sermon. Oh yeah, okay. You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're my bad. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, Sermon, I mean, again, he was a 3rd round pick out of Ohio State. Yeah. So it's like he has the pedigree. Just, he hit that Shanahan doghouse and all went to hell. Chris Jordan says start 2 for week 5 and keep in mind in the future, Gibbs and Mixon are full-time backs. Mostert is my IR slot. Chase Brown, Sermon, Madison, Dowdle, Charbonnet, Akers, Madison. So he needs 2 out of those bottom running backs there. Mostert's coming back this week. Yeah. So he's out of your IR slot, and you could possibly use him here.
I'm going to go Sermon and Akers. And you're going to have to drop somebody.
Yeah.
I might drop Rico. I don't know if anybody's going to pick Rico up.
Rico's taking the job now, though. I mean, he's kind of.
What's that worth?
I mean, he scored last week, right?
10 PPR points last week with the touchdown.
But it's still the Cowboys, and if he's going to start playing more and more, I know the Zeke. I know it's tough for you, bro, but
it is.
That's definitely a factor a little bit. But I would say Chase Brown and Sermon for me. Maybe Dowdle though; it's not terrible.
For this week, I am starting Sermon and Akers, but you're going to have to drop somebody for Mostert.
Yeah. Would you use Mostert against the Patriots?
Maybe. But you still got to drop somebody. That's why I'm saying Rico might be your drop, unless you drop it, Madison.
Yeah. All right. How much longer you want to go here? You want to go another 10 minutes?
Let's go 10 minutes.
All right. So we're going to keep going. Yeah, we're going to keep going down the line. If you guys want to drop the super chats, we'll bump it up. 5 Eva Grady Baby says, if this is live, what do y'all think about playing Adonai Mitchell? No, you can't play him right now. Man.
Absolutely not.
He's like the 4th guy. He's getting the least amount of snaps with Downs returning. So you got to just wait. I mean, if you could hold him and you got a deep roster, I don't mind waiting because he could be an explosive player for sure. Rookie out of Texas. Depending on what else is out there, we'll see. You got to gauge it yourself.
He matched snaps with Ashton Doolin last week. They both had 11. Mitchell had 6 snaps in week 3. He's not usable.
Well, we like his talent, so just keep an eye on him. William Stevenson, our boy Willie Bob Steve says start 2 in a flex. Downs, Flowers, Hunt, Sermon. I'm going with Flowers as 1, and I'm going to go with Sermon as the other one.
I'll go with that too.
I mean, Downs, he definitely could be better than Sermon here. Sermon could flop. You don't know. It's definitely a little bit risky.
Jacksonville, you can run on the Jags though.
Yeah. Justin Credible is back. Since I just got Walker and JT and Mixon are out, who should I start? Who's my number 2, Hubbard or ETN? Hubbard, right? Or do you like ETN?
The Bears, where you get them is on the ground. I also like ETN a lot against the Colts. They've been a mess. I might just stay. I might go ETN. You talked about it earlier, Steve. Like this is a must-have game for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I don't want to bet them this week, but I just feel like this is they got to get it done this week, or Peterson's done.
I mean, can you imagine losing to Joe Flacco and Trey Sermon? Like Doug Peterson, Press Taylor they're not going to be allowed back in the building.
Yeah, they're done. I agree. Anthony Colella says PPR, who to start for wide receiver 2 and flex? Trey Tucker, who we kind of like, Javonte, Flowers, Ayuk, Charbonnet, Christian Kirk. So he needs a wide receiver 2 and a flex out of those guys. Again, I'm going to go with Flowers once again. And I do like Tucker, but still Broncos is a tough matchup. He may see some Surtain. I'm going to go with Flowers and Ayuk here.
I'm going to go, if you want to go safe, high floor, Kirk and Flowers. If you want to mix floor and ceiling, I would go Kirk and Ayuk. I think Kirk's got to be in there. He's starting to cook a little bit, starting to get that volume in the Colts. That defense is not good. They've been giving up chunks.
Astoria says Gibson or Akers. Anthony, like Akers, right?
Yeah, it's close. It's really close. But Akers, just because he has, Gibson still has to contend with Ram. You're really, it's Goombawale. And again, the Bills, they're getting gashed by the running back.
Yeah. Just incredible. Keep this quick. I just picked up Waddle. Think about holding him until Tua returns, but should I drop Waddle for Mooney? We love Mooney, but I don't. Do you want to do that, Ant? This is actually a good, good question because Mooney did look pretty damn good, but it's tough to drop Waddle.
And it wasn't just last week. Mooney in 3 out of 4 games over.
He's always been good.
PPR points this year. Shit. Do you need, Justin, if you need to start somebody right away, then yes, you drop Waddle for Mooney. If this is a stash and you think you can get by until Tua comes back, then you hold Waddle. But if you need immediate help, you got to pick up Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, I don't hate that. And even, Waddle is kind of frustrating, even when Tua is there.
Can you pick up Mooney real quick, trade him, and then get Waddle back? I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like if you need to win now, maybe you just got to do what you got to do. Yeah. Kyle Singer says traded Sermonson, Parkinson, Ford for Ferguson. Any thoughts? I love it.
I love it too.
Yeah, I mean it depends on it depends on your running back room, but these guys are all going to be replaced. Even Chubb's going to come back eventually. So yeah, I love it.
We're looking at a realistic chance with how bad this Cowboys defense is and how there's no Brandon Cooks, and I like Tolbert a lot. Ferguson's going to be number 2. He was number 2 in the targets last year, number 1 amongst tight ends in red zone targets. He might get 8 to 12 targets a week. And I don't think that's a hot take. Yeah. That's not being a Cowboys fan. That's reality.
He could be tight end 1. I mean, he has a chance to do it. He's a very good player and he's in a great situation. Eckler or Sermon this week?
Ooh, I'm going to go Eckler.
Yeah, B-Rob again.
It's a tougher matchup.
B-Rob. I would still go Eckler. I agree. B-Rob may make his way back. I just don't think he is. Michael Lopez says, first time, long time. Appreciate it, man. Need a flex for the weekend. Jordan Addison, Braylon Allen, Shaheed.
Thanks in advance.
Thanks in advance. Full PPR 12 team.
I might go Addison. Sauce is probably going to be trying to lock down Justin Jefferson. They might bracket him. And Addison's kind of been hot. I'm going to go Jordan Addison.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm going to go Shaheed. Yeah, I mean, I think the Jets might have a little something for Minnesota this week. Alicia Collard says, Sermon for the week since Mixon is out, or roll with Ford. I think I got to go with Ford, man. I was a Sermon guy. I jumped ship a long time ago.
I'm going to go Ford as well.
But he's just show more. Welcome back, Alicia. Savage Germ says Achane or Cook rest of the year in full PPR. Was offered Achane for Cook. My other running backs are Bijan and Najee. We're starting to see this. Jared also had similar question about the Achane Cook. I don't know. I kind of like Cook, man. It's just a much better situation. The Dolphins aren't blocking. Mostert's back. Tua could get hurt again. McDaniels hasn't done a good job. He's not. I don't know. It's getting kind of ugly in Miami. I was in that stadium, man. They just everything just seemed miserable there. So I would go Cook.
The
It's very
ceiling
close.
of Achan when Tua comes back is what it is, and that's the hard part. Is because we know what it can be. Cook last week, 5.8 PPR points. He was absolutely erased. And now that was a tough matchup. Houston, 7th toughest against running backs. Jets, 5th toughest. Tennessee, 13th toughest. That's your next 4 games of James Cook. So, like, I might lean Achan because week 8 is a couple weeks away, and Tua could, and actually week 8, it's Buffalo.
Are we sure that Achan is a better running back than James Cook?
I don't know if he's a bad.
James Cook's looked pretty damn good, man. I mean, so I don't know. It's a better situation. Achan might, I'll give him the nod as the better player, but I just think the situation with Cook. So I don't hate it. I mean, Achan certainly could smash. He could revive himself and go nuts.
The Bills looked like unstoppable the first 3 games until you made Josh. And I'm not taking anything away from Josh Allen, but like last week, they took out the run and made Buffalo one-dimensional. And if you can do that, it does that. And Jim Coventry likes to bring this up a lot. Like, is that the recipe? Is every defensive coordinator going to say, okay, like, make Josh Allen throw the football because they don't have elite weapons at receiver anymore?
Yeah.
So does that mean like we're going to see stacked boxes to James Cook?
I think I would welcome that. I think they would adjust, and it would help the receivers. I think they'd still get it done. It certainly would hurt their offense if they can't run the football, though. I mean, the Bills have always been in trouble when they're very unbalanced like that. So it's helped their offense immensely since Brady came over and kind of ran the ball. Appreciate the question, man. Great question. Alicia Collard back again. Grab, love, and play over Stroud this week. Yes, I like it.
Yes. Yeah, I'm in here. Let's do the last super and wrap up.
All right, Big Mac.
I can go for a Big Mac.
I do like a nice Big Mac every once in a while. I can't lie.
I still haven't got my Arby's for my birthday.
I got to send it to you. I'll send it. I'll send you something eventually. I got an Arby's. It kills me because I have an Arby's literally. Like my kids had Arby's last night. They went to the doctor. They went to the doctor, and my wife brought up Arby's on the way home. It's like right down the
sandwiches, man.
Yeah. Their buffalo chicken sandwich is pretty good too. Which 2 do I start out of Wicks versus the Rams? 2-2 versus Green Bay. Jordan Addison versus the Jets. Leggett, the Leggetter. Versus I like it, kind of. Versus Chicago. I lost Cup and Rice. Now I'm cooked. LOL. No, you're not cooked, man.
I don't think you're cooked because Dontavian Wicks, with the injury volatility in that wide receiver room, Wicks is a plug-and-play starter anytime he is a number 2 or number 3 in that offense, and maybe he plays himself into a larger role. So I think you're going to be fine with Wicks. The matchups are going to be great, and I get they didn't put Christian Watson on IR, but Wicks is showcasing good enough rapport with Jordan Love to where they might not be able to put him into that number 4 role much longer. So Wicks for sure. And I might go Addison. I kind of like Addison this week, especially over 2-2, because we don't really know who's going to get those reps for the Rams. And then Leggett, that is a shutdown. We talked about how good this matchup is or how bad this matchup is. Like with Chicago, and I off the top of my head, because I've seen it so much, we talked about it earlier. Every wide receiver not named Nico Collins was held under 8 PPR points until last week, where Atwell and Whittington each had 12.5. They're erasing the wide receiver position. This is Andy Dalton, but he's going to get pressured in his face.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson's a physical corner. Tyreek Stevenson's physical. They can get physical to get Brisker's nice.
We like Leggett. I like Leggett. You like Leggett. But
just a tough match. The Bears defense is legit. They've been legit since last year. And ever since they got freaking the DN from Washington, they've been smashing. Wicks, definitely. 2-2 is like last year was the 2-2 show. Then did they bring in Demarcus Robinson later in the year, or did they have
I
him?
think they had him, and then he just started coming on.
Yeah, he kind of took Tutu's job, but now it's vice versa. Now it's Tutu over Robinson, even though Robinson's still playing a ton. But now Jordan Whittington's got a lot of snaps. I think it'll be a little bit more him this week. I got to go with Addison too. He's just the better receiver. I still think he'll get a little bit here. So it's Wicks and Addison for me as well.
But we're going to wrap up. We want to thank everybody for their super chats. And remember, if we did not get to your question, ask your question once we end this stream. Ask it in the comment section.
Yeah, 100%.
One of us will get back to you with an answer as soon as we can. This was another great show. I believe Stephen might be on tomorrow for DFS.
Yes.
We will be back in some capacity Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as we do every Sunday morning going into game day. But for Steve and myself, this is the Face Off Sports Network. If you want to win, you have to tune in. We'll see you tomorrow.